Man, if there's two things that have held me up in this build, length of time wise, it's been the fiberglass for that fender and figure out how I'm gonna do these brakes. I've gone through multiple iterations. At first I was gonna use the stock lever with another lever next to it, one for the front, one for the rear. And then I looked at a set of heel toe shifters, drilled those out and used them. And then I found a brake lever that had something that would actually fit right on the rod on that stock mount, that had the collars inside. I had different lengths of the pegs. Oh man, I've gone through all kinds of combinations of this stuff, and I think I got it figured out. So with the stock brake pedal, I cut this loose because this was on the end of this rod all the way out here. So I cut it loose. Well, that was unfortunate timing for my compressor to kick on. So I had this is the stock brake pedal, but this was all the way out here at the edge. So I cut that weld. This was free, like this. The sleeve that this sat on, I cut off all the way to here. Right now, this is actually just crazy glued on there in place to hold it until I weld it, because I wanted to make sure this is what I was going to do. Then I took one of the heel toe shifters and put it on there. So what it's going to be is, I'll do this black so it's hidden a little bit. But this is going to be the rear brake, and this will be the front brake. And it'll sit right about here, so when I depress the front brake, it'll go down slightly on its own, and then it'll depress the rear and actuate them both at the same time. Now, doing it this way, I'll be able to use the stock setup for controlling the master cylinder. And for the front, I'm not really sure yet how I'm going to work it, but I'm getting several different cables, different brake cables from different bikes, and I'm going to try to set up something where I have a remote master cylinder that's going to be cable actuated, and instead of coming directly off of the lever, it'll be a cable that'll be hooked in somewhere on the bike, and that'll actuate it. But like I said, this will put both down. And on the bike, it will look something like so. So like I said, this will sit about here, and when you press it down, it'll depress both. And then this one by itself will just be the rear. And what I decided I would do is, for the pegs, the heel toe shifters, they look decent and they will go with this outside one. So what I'll do is I'll put a shorter one for the top and a longer one for the bottom. That way I can actuate the rear by itself without a problem. Let's see if I can get that to sit there on its own. And even this is actually a highway peg, but it's the same cut. And so what I would do is narrow this out so it'll actually fit inside that stock configuration, and then that'll be nice and long, so I can make sure I can hit the rear by itself. And then I will put, come on, sit there, baby, sit there. Didn't want to stay there. Okay. And then I'll put just the standard size one on there, but I'll press it down and it'll actuate both at the same time. I think that's how I'm going to do it. But as we know, the only thing constant is change. So we shall see. We shall see. So I think this is what I'm going to go with. Like I said, I might do something with the face of this, add some black in it or something, just so it blends a little bit better. Just temporarily mounted. It's on the stock bracket, but since I'll probably be cutting this part off, since I'm not using the stock master cylinder. But yeah, the way it's set up now, this will be the rear brake. It'll go down by itself. This is not on a spring or anything right now. So this would be the rear. It'll go down by itself. And when I press the front, it'll start off by itself. Then they'll contact. And then it'll be both of them. And, you know, this is just a temporary setup, so I'm not going to use that bolt, and I'll put something on there to pad that so that there's not a clunking of the metal when they engage together. This, like I said, is a highway peg that I was able to use the stock mounting position and kind of played with it. So instead of drilling that hole through it, I just kind of opened up that clevis that was on there and bolted through it. Again, this is just temporary. That is very ugly. So I'll work with that and see what I can do. And this was actually a highway peg that goes with these heel toe shifters. They're not identical. They're very close, but they're not identical. I'll see. This particular one, this piece right here is an extension. So what I can technically do is put this one down here and then put the stock one. Oh no, I can't put this one down here because this screws in. I'll figure it out. I'll see which one I want to use. This one just seems to have a lot. It might just be by the way the light's shining through it. There's a lot more silver to this one than there is to this one. And maybe that kind of works because of all this polished surface. I don't know. But like I said, I've gone through quite a few iterations of this setup, and this seems to be the one that's going to be the most effective and efficient. Now I just have to figure out where I'm going to mount a master cylinder underneath here on the rail. Actually, those bolts there are the perfect width to put even a factory master cylinder there, and then I can run the cable up so that it's all remote, and then sit the reservoir somewhere else. But the one that I'm going to use down here will probably be very similar to an OEM one, and I'll bolt it somehow to the frame down there so it's out of the way. And since I'm using this stock one on the back side, it's got the lever I need here to actuate the rear master cylinder. And now what I have to do is come up with a way to do it on here. There is a threaded hole down there. Since this is a heel toe shifter, there's a threaded hole down there that would actually be the pinch bolt. And I may be able to bring something up and out of that, and then run my cable somewhere up here. But all that is to be determined later. Still working. Well, I guess the time has come for the long, arduous task of prepping the bodywork for paint. I've done a couple of samples of what I can do without bodywork. That's just some straight black, and it came out nice and wet, but if you look really close, you can see where it's not totally smooth underneath there. So I'm going to go ahead and sand that back down. I only did that back side just to see how the bodywork would fare. And I did some coats on the fender, and that came out super glossy, especially up here, which is where I did the body work and everything. And you can see that there are some imperfections in the surface area, which isn't bad considering that was the fiberglass I did and the Bondo work I did. But I was trying to see if I could do something slick with some extra colors and whatnot in there. Didn't work out quite right. So I'm going to take that all back down, sand it smooth again, and go with primer on there. Do the tank. The lowers are already gloss black, so I only need to clear those, and then I have to do the fender. But what I can do is if I spray them now, I can shoot them all black and then do a clear that's got some metal flake in it, or I'm going to have to shoot it the right way with a HVLP gun and put the metallic in the paint, which is the right way to do it. And I'm just scared because, you know, I get nervous about stuff like that because I don't usually do it. I will rattle can the heck out of something, which is all that is on that fender there, or excuse me, on that bag there is rattle can. And a fender as well. But, you know, to go ahead and put my compressor on it, shoot it the right way with the metal flake, that's going to be a new thing. But we shall do it. So now back to prepping, sanding, primering, all that good stuff. Still working on it. I made a mistake on my fender, which sucks. Because I had put some paint on there. I went after that with some 120 sandpaper, and I'm using a filler buildable primer, but I got some relatively large scratches and swirls in there. I'm going to try to work them out, but I probably just created more work for myself than I needed to. I mean, it'll all come out fine in the end. Just going to be a little more time, a little more elbow grease involved. But working on the parts now, get it prepped for paint. All right, getting everything prepped to shoot still. I've got both of the bags primed, sanded, primed again, then sanded again, so they're nice and smooth. You can see how much light they actually reflect, which is pretty good. I've got the lids sanded, preliminary sanding, and then primed. I'll let that dry, then sand them down tomorrow. That's why they're not glowing. Made a little more work for myself a couple of days ago when I primed the fender. Apparently I didn't let it dry enough and something reacted with the primer and cracked the primer. So I sanded it down today a little bit, but I think I'm gonna have to take that back all the way down to bare fiberglass in order to get the cracks out and get a smooth finish. But you know, getting there. Probably tomorrow I'll do the tank, possibly the front fender. The front fender's metal. It's the only thing body-wise that's going on there that's metal. So that's actually gonna be super easy to prep. I think I just need to make sure that it's smooth and prime it. And I'll save the lowers for last. They're already gloss black, but I think I still have to scuff them and shoot them anyway. But that's where we are. I was actually going to go black with just a heavy blue metallic, heavy blue flake in there. And now I'm considering doing something different because I'm not going to rattle can it. I think I'm going to shoot it. I've got all the HVLP gun and all that other stuff. I need to just stop being a chicken shit and actually use it. So that means that I can play with any color I want to. But anyway, that's where I am now. I'm getting it all ready to shoot. All right, well, I had to make some room in here for myself. It was so crowded in here with all the stuff that I'm working on that I had to put some things away and just make some room for myself. Still working on prepping the body panels and whatnot for paint. Got the lids, bags, fender sanded down. I've got some glaze I'm going to put on the fender right there in the middle where I have some scratches that I just need to fill in a little bit. Took the sides off the tank yesterday and the center and sanded those down. Probably prime those today. Then I will work on the fender and the lowers here. And then I have to take the side covers off and get those ready. And once I get them all smoothed out, primed, obviously for the tank, I'm going to have to take the paint off the surface at the top and the bottom in order to use the epoxy to put the side covers on there. And then I will get that all primed and ready to go. Ugh, it's getting really slow right now, so I need to pick up the pace. All right, I got the tank out, off. I need to prep it to put the tank extensions on the sides. So what I'm gonna have to do is take the grinder with a flap disc, and I have to take this down to bare metal, here, across the front and along the bottom, because then I have to use a two-stage epoxy adhesive to put the tank extensions on. So that's what I'm getting ready to get into right now. Just finished draining the tank. It's amazing. It felt like there was hardly anything in there, and I filled up 3 gallons of my fuel jug. Anywho, about to get started on that in just a minute. All right, so I just hit this thing with 40 grit to knock the paint off, get it down to bare metal. Then I came back with a 120 grit flap wheel just to clean it up. I know it's not a clean line, it doesn't matter. I just need a space for the adhesive to go, which is actually going to be mostly over here. I went farther that way. As I slide it on, I can actually slide some adhesive in just in the event that it's actually touching the surface over here as well. I get some bonding, and it went all the way around, you know, on the bottom and all the way around the front. So I'm gonna get my my 2-part adhesive epoxy and see if I can do this right. We'll see. I got the adhesive on. We'll see how it holds. I don't know that there was actually enough adhesive there, so I think I'm gonna have to go and get some more because I don't know if this is gonna hold, but I will find out either tonight or when I get back. I'm actually going out of town for a few days, so I'm gonna let that set. I'm gonna have to go through and I'm gonna have to redo this hole because I don't like the way it sat, and I'm changing the gas cap anyway, so I'm not too worried about changing that around. But I got a bunch of tape on there to hold everything together down tight, and hopefully it sets all right. What's happening, everybody? Juan here out in the garage. Please forgive all the noise in the background. My neighbor's doing his yard. Man, super busy.
I've actually been working on this bike for the past, I don't know, week or two. Then I was working on that bike, and before that I was working on the 300, my race bike that I'm selling. So I've been super busy, but I was able to get out today to work on the bagger a little bit, primarily because I was super excited because of a package I got from our guy Mike Jalmervik. He made my custom floorboards for me, and I'm going to show you those right now. They're mocked up. I am just so stoked about these floorboards. That is my company, Sinister Racing, and Mike made custom floorboards for me, and I can't tell you how happy I am with those. Let's see if you can see the other one too. Booyah! Oh man, it's a beautiful thing. I'm so pleased and so tickled with those. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with them. I'm pretty sure I'm going to take them down, polish them, and clear coat them with a few coats of clear so they stay shiny and pretty. But I don't know. I may powder coat them or Cerakote them a color or something like that. But just super excited. Michael, can't thank you enough. Fantastic job. Mike's actually been helping me prototype a couple of other things as well, to include the mounting bracket for my brake caliper. He and I have been working on that for quite some time. I just haven't touched it in so long. He asked me about it the other day. I'm like, yeah, we need to finish that, but I'm pretty sure our last iteration is going to be the final iteration. But just wanted to share that with everybody. I was super excited to get the package in the mail, and I chatted with him on the phone and said, dude, can't wait to mock him up so I can do a video. And I will put this in whatever Chronicles video I do next, but I just wanted to share with everybody. All right, so I'm working out here on the center stand again. I've gone ahead and welded the nuts to the top of the support brackets. So basically this will sit like that over the frame. The frame rails of the bike will be here and here, and of course they will attach to the center stand itself. Probably later on today get to working on the feet for that to make sure I have it the right height and have the feet to support it. But I'm going to go ahead and test fit this, and as long as it's all good, go ahead and paint it all black again and move to the next step. Okay, so been working on this center stand tonight. I just got it mounted back up. I'm going to do an overnight stress test on it. I'm going to stick a 2x6 under here in case it fails catastrophically. This is just to test the mount. It's still got to be cleaned up and edged off and a couple of other things, but this is just to test the strength of the mount that's under there, and if it's going to hold the weight of the bike overnight. Like I said, I'll put this under here just in case it suffers catastrophic failure. It will come down on the 2x6. I haven't put the feet on it yet, as you can see, so once I know it works, then I'll get it angled right and put the feet on. But also you can see it's solid. Rocking it. It's not going anywhere. Of course, just like with any center stand, you're only going to park it on flat ground. Never going to park it on a hill because it's only so wide. But again, trying to rock the bike, that's not going anywhere. And this is part of my stress test as well. Just rocking it back and forth to see if that's going to cause it to fail. So we'll see tomorrow. All right, well, I've had it on here for 5 days. I've done a lot of movement on it, sat on it, lots of pressure, and I probably wouldn't leave it on here when it's just sitting in my garage anyway. I'd probably put a block underneath here just to keep it off the kickstand, or the center stand, excuse me, when it's at the house. So I'm going to call that solid. Now what I have to do is cut the correct angle on the feet, or on the bottom of the legs here, and put some feet on here. That'll be a piece of plate that'll go and bend up, much like what was on there to begin with as a donor. Put that on both sides. One that'll make sure that I have a more solid point of contact, because right now it's just this back edge of this this round stock. So I'm going to go ahead and mark both of them, make sure they're the same length, cut it, and weld on some feet. But so far so good. I'm still looking at other options, trying to mount it somewhere up here, farther up, put some type of actuator on it if I can figure something out. I know everybody's discussed this at nauseum, and only one person's made a significant stride in doing one that's in the middle of the bike that is electric and looks great, and that's Sam. So I don't know, I'll keep working with it, see what I can come up with. All right, well, center stand 2.0 is complete. Put the feet on it today, so now I'm getting ready to mount it up to the bike and make sure that it still sits where I want it to sit, and let it sit out here on the stand, and I'll do another stress test on it with the feet welded on, since that was actually my first time doing intricate welding of any sort for the actual build. We'll see how it goes. All right, well, I got the center stand done, got the feet on there, and obviously the bike is sitting down on the center stand. Already I can see I'm going to redo it. It is too high. See how high the bag, don't worry about the fender back there, it's not connected, but you see how high the bag is off the ground when it's on the kickstand. I want it to be at least an inch lower than that, probably 2, and I'm guessing because when I added the feet there's an extra ½ an inch or so here, plus the height of the foot, so that's probably close to 3/4 of an inch there, whereas before it was sitting right about where my fingernail is. So I may go ahead and cut all that back off, create another pad, maybe not a full pad, because the way this pad sits back off the back of the foot, I don't know if you can see that, that's like 3/4 of an inch, and unfortunately that means that when the center stand is up and sitting back here, that pad causes it to sit down, and I don't particularly care for that. So I might just do, I mean, it's a landing pad, so, you know, obviously it gives it a lot more stability. You see that one over there is not on straight. So regardless, I would have to take that back off and redo it. But, I mean, it's functional. I'm going to let it sit. Here I am trying to shake the bike. It's solid. It's not going anywhere. But it's just too high. So I'm going to create a different type of foot and put on there so that it's got solid footing on the ground, but it's not going to make... Ooh, it's not going to make that pad come here and have the whole center stand, come on, focus, down like this instead of up. So we'll see how it works out. But for now, at least I know that my thought process was good. Just need to fine tune. All right, so I've been out here playing with the center stand for the past couple of days. And I've got my center stand where it's going to be for now. I just welded the feet on it, and I'm going to go ahead and do a stress test on it for a few days and put some weight on it, sit on it, rock it, and all that other stuff. But what I figured I'd do since I'm done with that is work on the bags and the fender, which I finally have got them where I think I want them as far as the space there and there being even. How this is going to follow, that line is going to follow there. Once I get the center stand where I want it, it'll actually be a little lower to the ground than that. But I had to make some pretty significant changes in, well, not significant. So remember, this is the hump that I created when I did the fiberglass. And so now there's a gap about so big between the fender here and the OEM fender underneath. So here, I drilled a hole. I'm going to put a standoff in there and set it into the fender to give me rigidity there. And then right under here, there's already a hole in the fender from the the light bar. I think it was the bracket for that. Anyway, I've got a carriage bolt. I tapped in one of the threaded rivets, put that in there, and I put a carriage bolt in there, and I worked it out and found the distance, so now it fills that gap, and it's going to act as a standoff for that distance to support the fender away. So what I'm going to do is take some bar steel, and I'm going to mimic the shape of the bump out in the fender there. I'm going to weld that or attach it somehow to that carriage bolt, and it will support the fender on the outside. I'll probably put some felt or foam or something on there so that it's not bouncing against metal, because there is going to be some bounce to that fender. But then that'll give me the rigidity at the middle and then the support at the back. And it should also keep the fender from doing that waggle of the back fender at the bottom. But it looks like I got the spacing right for those. And I'll put the LED light bars down the edge of the fender there, facing out, obviously. But yeah, I think I finally got that the way I want it. Don't worry about that center on the tank there. It's not lined, it's not connected, so it's just kind of laying there. That's why it looks off. Anyway, moving right along.